the unique virus that President Trump has injected into the body politic of if an election doesn't go your way, it was stolen, is going to be a durable and difficult virus for us to combat.
Without question. David Rohde, you have an exclusive new piece that just posts on ms.now, a report that finds President Trump has made little headway to sow public distrust in election results and expand control over elections heading into November's midterms as we talk about trust in elections here. What more can you tell us?
So I want to talk about good news. So there's a group of political scientists who got together, and they're from the University of Chicago, University of Rochester, and Dartmouth College, and they put out a monthly report called Bright Line Watch, the bright line being our democracy. And the good news from their monthly report this month is they surveyed the public. They looked at the impact of President Trump's speech. It was a primetime speech to the nation saying, according to President Trump, that our elections are vulnerable to easily being hacked and stolen. And all those claims were false. And what they found, according to public opinion polls, is that Trump's speech didn't move public opinion substantially at all. And then a second positive development, they also surveyed about 500 political scientists. This is another thing, another way they test our democracy. The strength of it is, are the courts acting as a check on the president? And what's also happened over the last month is that Trump's effort to force states to hand over voter rolls from across the country, that has been defeated by 21 separate federal judges. They've all ruled that the Constitution gives the states the power of handling elections and counting the votes. That is to prevent the president and his appointees from counting the votes in elections that decide whether the president's party controls Congress. So those two factors caused Bright Line Watch to give American democracy a higher score this month than it did last month. And I just wanted to share that positive news with our viewers. We need positive news these days.
Listen, we'll take it, David. I mean, the Save America Act that Donald Trump has been pushing has been one of the rare places that Senate Republicans have said no to him, that they're not going to pass this. Is there hope still in the White House that they will get this through? That, again, we can go through the details of it, but that would severely restrict mail-in voting, which the president just used this week, by the way, and make it much more difficult for people to vote and effectively federalize our elections. Do most experts and people on Capitol Hill believe that that is a non-starter, that it will not become law?
I think it's a non-starter in Congress. Again, that's a sign of Republicans, the other co-equal branch of American government, standing up to the president. The key here to watch is, yet again, the Supreme Court. On these 21 defeats I mentioned, the request for the voter rolls, and even on mail-in ballots, the administration said they may appeal to the Supreme Court. So, again, we're going to watch two people, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and potentially a third Justice Brett Kavanaugh. It's a 6-3 majority. The feeling is Roberts and Coney Barrett and maybe even Kavanaugh would say, no, Mr. President, states, according to the Constitution, control vote counting. You can't get access to these voter rolls. You can't control our elections. There could be an appeal to the Supreme Court, and we'll have to see what the Supreme Court does.
We'll be watching. MS Now senior national security reporter David Rohde. David, thanks as always. Our next reporter is looking into how Republicans are, for the most part, no longer hosting in-person town hall meetings with constituents during this election cycle. They are home this summer. They're on their break right now, but not getting out with voters. Here's a reminder of what some of those events sounded like over the last year or so.
No, I will not demand their resignation.
My colleagues and I will be meeting with the Department of Government Efficiency.
Let's bring in MS Now congressional reporter Michael Schnell. Michael, I guess we can see in those clips why Republicans are dodging the voters during town halls this recess.
Yeah, and Willie, the numbers here are really telling the story, not just for this recess, but for this entire year up to this summer. Legistorm, which is an organization that tracks various patterns up on Capitol Hill, put out a report and said that from the beginning of the year, January 1st to June 29th, Republicans held just 39 in-person town halls. Compare that to the number Democrats held, which was 451 in that same time period. So the number of GOP town halls pales in comparison to the number of Democratic town halls. And I dug into the reasons why. I spoke to a number of House Republicans this week asking them, why are you guys ducking these in-person town halls, which, by the way, have been a mainstay for lawmakers up on Capitol Hill for years, and instead opting for these virtual forums. And they essentially said it boils down to three reasons. First off, the political ramifications. Those videos that you just showed, those hecklers, those protesters at these town halls, folks want to avoid that. And by the way, this really blew up last spring in about March of 2025. At that point, we were seeing very viral town halls with protesters talking about things like rising costs, the Medicaid cuts in the reconciliation bill, even the handling of the Epstein files. It really ran the gamut. And at that time, House GOP leadership, led by Richard Hudson, he leads the House GOP campaign arm, told members, guys, hold off on these in-person town halls. Instead, do virtual forums, do teletown halls. And since then, that pattern has really stuck, in large part, again, because of those very viral, visceral protests. The second reason I heard from lawmakers, they're saying that they feel that they can reach more people when they do a virtual setting instead of these in-person town halls. And the third is security. Look, right now, in our current political environment, there are rising threats against members of Congress, Republicans included. We have seen assassination attempts against the president of the United States. Republicans said they just feel safer doing these in a virtual setting. Now, that all being said, they feel that the in-person town hall, which again is a tradition for lawmakers in Congress, just isn't worth it anymore and doesn't have any benefits when they can do it over the phone or do it on Zoom. But by the way, Democrats see an opening here. They're already messaging on it in the lead up to November, saying if you're a member of Congress, can't even take time to meet with you in person, they don't deserve to represent you in Congress.
Yeah, security concerns, perhaps valid, though a depressing statement on our current politics. Certainly, Republicans also faced a lot of heat when they did some town halls last summer after the big, beautiful bill. Joe, when you were in Congress, of course, you did it, and running for office, you did a number of town halls. You've spoken about how effective you found them, that it was really important to connect with voters. My question, I guess, to you would be, in this political moment for Republicans, where things are so bad, is there any wisdom in ducking them? And or should they be out there and facing their constituents, even if those constituents are yelling at them?
When things are bad, you need to go out there more. You need to keep going out there, and you don't have to stand on the stage with a microphone talking to them. You get a chair, you put it down in the middle of a room, and you sit and listen. You do whatever it takes to listen to your constituents. I tell you, after I got elected, my first year, I would have 4 or 5 town hall meetings every week. I probably had over 100 town hall meetings my first year in Congress. I knew every part of the district. I knew everybody. Everybody knew they had a chance to come and talk to me and ask questions. And did they always agree with me? No. A lot of times they didn't agree with me. But we sat down, we talked, and you went to places where people, even if people disagreed with you. I know my favorite memories was going to an environmental, I don't know if it was Greenpeace, but going to an environmental town hall meeting, and somebody stood up and said that all Republicans got a 0 on the report cards, but our congressman got a 45. And I got a standing ovation, and I said, that's the first time I've ever been cheered for getting a 45 on a test since 9th grade trig. But you know what? I was there. I stood up. I listened to them. I asked, where can we meet? Where can we come? I'm not going to agree with you on everything, but let's talk about offshore oil drilling. Let's talk about some of these other issues, clean water, clean air. Let's figure out where to meet. And without these town hall meetings, you are disconnected from the very people that you're supposed to serve.